Hey, it's the Empire, Jew Boxing Empire, Baxter Boxing. Now, man, my boy Keith one-time Thurman, former unified welterweight champion, man. The guy was on a run, man. He was beating Danny Garcia, Showtime Sean Porter, just anyone and everyone that was in his way, man. And it's wild stuff, man. Now, Keith one-time Thurman, man, he's always been a man of many words, man. A man who can talk his way and sounds like he has a really good game. He went to New York, talked trash about Paulie Malignaggi, and he has the infamous saying, "Don't dunk me, son. Don't dunk me." Wild stuff, man. The guy has a lot of quotable sayings in his career. Now, all that being said, man, Keith one-time Thurman was ducking guys like Errol the Truth Spence Jr. when he was coming up. He was saying things like, Errol Spence Jr., he needs to prove something. He needs to beat somebody. And then when Errol Spence Jr. finally got a title by stopping Kell Brook in his home country, Keith Thurman kept saying he'll get his time. And instead of fighting Errol the Truth Spence, he decided to fight Manny Pacquiao, man. Now, since then, man, Keith one-time Thurman has been getting asked questions about Jaron in his boots, right? That being said, Keith Thurman has not learned his lesson. He's doing the same thing and saying that, well, I don't know that guy. Keith Thurman, you think the guy who talked so well, earlier, I was talking about how he went to New York and how he talked trash against Paulie Malignaggi and don't duck me, son, and all this stuff. And, Paulie is a real good intellectual. He's a guy who really talks boxing really well. In fact, he hosted a PBC announcing fights before, right? That's how good he is. He can look at a fight, break it down, and tell a casual fan what's going on, right? That all being said, this guy with seemingly, good vocal skills, good speaking ability, supposedly high IQ, you think he would learn his lesson. Well, he didn't. And Jaron Utes is that guy coming up, man. He seems like the future in the welterweight division, man. He seems like that next new guy up, and there's no doubt in my mind, after the chaos, the apocalypse happened with Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol the Truth Spence, after they fight and they inevitably go up in weight, Jaron Utes will have all the titles. No doubt about it. I do see him as right now, at least right now, from the eye test, as being that next guy. And, Keith one-time Thurman, him not fighting him is only going to repeat the same thing that he didn't do with Errol Spence Jr., right? Errol Spence Jr. has 3 of the 4 titles in the welterweight division. There's a really, really good chance that Jaron in his boots, when he gets the title, he's not going to want to fight Keith one-time Thurman. It's wild stuff, man. So at this point in Keith Thurman's career, Errol the Truth Spence said he's never going to fight Keith Thurman ever because he didn't give him a chance when he kept giving him a runaround when they're both active. So, Keith Thurman, man, the guy is extremely inactive. It will be going on 3 years this year since he's fought. Last time he fought is Manny Pacquiao, and he's just extremely inactive. A lot of times these young, these older fighters, these veterans, the former champions, the Danny Garcias, the Keith Thurmans, the not Showtime Sean Porter, but if you name those 3, only one of those 3 guys stayed real active, and that was Showtime Sean Porter, and that's why he's always in big fights. Danny Garcia has basically fell off since the Keith Thurman fight. A lot of times these guys, and that was Danny Garcia's first loss. A lot of times these guys, when they lose their undefeated status, they just have no hunger for the sport of boxing anymore. And that's exactly what happened with Keith one-time Thurman. He was already extremely inactive, fighting like 1 time a year, but ever since the Pacquiao loss, he's been MIA. Now he has gotten married, he has kids, and maybe he's focused on that now. But at the end of the day, you're one step away from multi-million-dollar fights, and just to stay inactive, it's only going to demean your stock, and it's going to lower your payouts because you're not active enough. So you're not in the public consciousness. So that being said, man, Keith one-time Thurman, him ducking boots is going to be Errol Spence Jr. 2.0. People are saying that Jaron in his boots is the next Roy Jones Jr., man. I mean, it's like there's been some kind of cult and they summoned up Roy Jones Jr. reincarnated, and Jaron in his boots is that guy. So Jaron in his boots, it seems like that new guy up, and he has a chin. I've seen him hurt guys, and guys get clean right hands on him, and he just takes the shots at least like 2 or 3 times, clean shots, and he just didn't even wobble, just looked at the guy, right? He did it against Lipinets. Lipinets hit him with 2 clean right hands in a fight at least, and just took it like a champ, man. Just took it like a champ. Ennis Boots does have he has one of the tested chins in the welterweight division. I've seen him get hit clean. Now, there's not that many hard hitters at welterweight as far as one hitter quitter type power. That's just unusual. It's more like a wilt you down type thing, right? Errol Spence Jr., he'll wilt you down. Danny Garcia, I guess, is the only guy I can think of with one hit knockout power, but that was more like at 140. At 147 against the big dogs, Danny Garcia has yet to hurt anyone like that. So that being said, man, we're gonna see where this Aaron Boots situation goes with Keith one-time Thurman. But it's a shame that Keith Thurman does not want to fight. Now, I'll be fair. Danny Garcia, he's from Philly, just like Jaron Boots Ennis, and Danny Garcia doesn't even want anything to do with Boots. So that's sort of messed up too. We want to see we want to see the best in the city. Philly is a grimy place, man. They got rugged fighters there, man, and they get down, man. And I want to see Danny Garcia versus Jared Ennis Boots. A lot of these fighters, they got big because these top fighters gave him a chance. Danny Garcia got big because he knocked out Amir Khan when nobody knew who Danny Garcia was. He was just an undefeated nobody. And then he gave him that chance and he got the knockout, But these other fighters, these elite fighters like I'm naming, they're not giving anyone chances, man. They just want big paydays and they don't want to fight anyone else. They just only want big paydays, only big dollars. And it's like, you're not even active. You can't just get a big dog after an L. You got to sort of build your way back up, right? Same thing with Danny Garcia. After that L, Keith Thurman, man, you got to build yourself back up. You need at least one more big win before you start fighting these champions again, right? So, that being said, man, I would like to see like Danny Garcia versus Virgil Ortiz Jr., Keith one-time Thurman versus Jaron Ennis Boots. Get this division popping again, because the division is stacked, but no one's fighting them. These top guys don't want to fight each other, and these contenders don't want to fight each other. So it's wild stuff. You got a lot of talent, and you got these fighters are just being inactive. The top guys, the veterans, and then you got these young guys, trying to get big dogs, but these big dogs are like, nah, I only want championship level fights. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Especially Keith one-time Thurman, because he already fought Danny Garcia and beat him. He already beat Sean Porter, right? He basically fought everyone that can be possibly he can fight at welterweight. José Lopez, he fought all those guys. So I mean, he fought Soto Carras. I can go on and on about Keith Thurman's resume. He fought basically everyone he could fight, and like, who else are you really gonna fight? Errol Spence Jr. is not gonna fight you, my guy. You ducked him too long, and when he beat Kell Brook, that should have been your time to fight the guy, but he didn't do it, right? And now all that being said, Keith one-time Thurman, he better hope and pray that Terrence Crawford's beat Errol Spence Jr., because that's the only way I see him getting a shot at a welterweight title at all, is if someone who he hasn't pissed off wins. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't see why Terrence Bud Crawford and Keith one-time Thurman wouldn't fight each other. That's a fight that I can see happening. But as far as Errol Spence fighting Keith Thurman, man, Errol Spence is done with him. So we're going to see how this whole thing happens with Boots, man. I'm a real big fan of Jaron Ennis Boots, but I thought I'll lay the landscape out in the welterweight division right now and what's going on. But yeah, man, that's what's happening, man. These top contender guys, these top guys, these former world champions, they're not fighting each other. Or they already fought each other, but they don't want to fight these young, hungry lions. And some of these lions, like Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Jaron Ennis Boots, they don't want to fight each other. Or Jaron Ennis Boots wants to fight Virgil Ortiz, but his trainer is saying like in 4 years or something stupid like that. So it's just a lot of silly games in the welterweight division, man. But it still doesn't take away from the fact it's being stacked. And so that being said, man, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Keith one-time Thurman and Jaron Ennis Boots. But his name's been hot lately, man, and he's that new guy, man. He's that new guy. Wow stuff, man. Let me know who you guys got to fight though. You guys think Keith one-time Thurman will walk through Boots, or I think Boots can give him all he can handle and knock him out with a body shot? Keith Thurman, he can't handle body shots. Let me know how you guys feel about it though. Like, comment, subscribe. It's the Empire. Jew Empire. Peace. Jew.